What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be talking about Donald Glover, Troy Barnes, Ernest Marks, Childish, Gambino, dropping what sounds like is going to be the last Childish Gambino album. Donald Glover is back yet again with Bando Stone and The New World. 17 songs, an hour long. This is Donald Childish's 6th studio album. Childish Gambino needs probably no introduction in a very special way. Rapper, singer, actor, comedy writer, producer, a very, very modern day Renaissance man. Obviously, I could talk more about his other escapades, but this is just about his music, so let's only talk about his music. We've got 6 studio albums under the name of Childish Gambino, all of which got some stuff on it. I know he built quite a following with albums like Camp and Because the Internet. Camp having songs like Bonfire, Because the Internet having songs like Sweatpants, 3005. I think 3005 was his first big blow up. I know, at least for me, that was the first time that I kind of heard Childish Gambino, and that was when my kind of interest kind of sparked. He then released Kauai, which was a big change from what he had done so far. If you haven't listened to Kauai, I do recommend that. Small little 7-album project, but he went 7 for 7. And I think Kauai is a great example of the beginning of where Childish Gambino, or let's call him Donald Glover because I think he should be called that, where he shows that he's more than just this little nerdy rapper. Kauai had some really great sounds. Then we go into Awaken My Love, songs like Me and Your Mama, Redbone, California, Stand Tall. That had some really good shit on it. Redbone especially. Redbone has over 1 billion streams on Spotify alone. We go to Anti Vista, which I think is a great segue into how you kind of could have expected Bando Stone to be. I think Anti Vista and this album, if you've watched the show Atlanta, I think these are good albums to represent musically how Gambino or how Glover's mind works. Bando and the New Stone is super crazy, to say the least. If you watched Atlanta, if you haven't watched Atlanta, I do recommend that as well. Very good show. But sometimes you're like, what the fuck is going on? But it's always relatively good. Bando and the New Stone is crazy off rip. Starting with the first song, Hearts Were Meant to Fly, it even took me a second to understand the song title. And I think that's a good warning for what the album has to come. I think this album is a mixed bag. You have 17 songs, so you have a lot to pick from, but there is a lot of different shit. I'm going to get the grades out the way, and then I'm going to talk about what I thought worked and didn't work. So for production, I don't think it's fair to not give it a 10. There's crazy sounds, there's crazy experiments. I think everything that he wanted to do, he did production-wise, and he also has production credits. There's a lot of fun sounds, so I think I would just be hating if I didn't give it 10 for production, to be honest. Vocals and lyrics, I think Childish Gambino is an underrated singer. I gave him a 4 for vocals. I think there were a few moments where he wanted to be super eclectic and super interesting, so it just felt a little bit bad for my ears, but otherwise he had some really good singing moments, and obviously he can rap as well, so I gave him a 4 for vocals. For lyrics, I gave him a 3 because there weren't too many songs where he was really rapping. Again, there is a lot of crazy songs, so he's singing and a lot of vibes, so I'm not giving him too many negative points for lyrics. There wasn't anything stupid being said for the most part. When I was trying to read lyrics, there wasn't too much lyrical cohesion or anything like that. I know he's just trying to create music, so I'm not going to deduct too many points for that. So I gave him a 3 just to keep it simple across the board. For cohesion though, I did give it a 6. Again, if you watch a show like Atlanta, if you look even just at his timeline of life and what he's accomplished in his career, he's done so many different things and gone so many different avenues. That's how his brain probably works in real life as well. And I think throughout this album, there's just a lot of different sounds, and it's kind of hard to sit in it at once because it does feel like there's a few different albums going on. So I did give it a 6 for cohesion. For originality though, I also gave it an 8. I think there were a lot of times where he's making crazy shit, but there were a few moments where even on the first listen, I hadn't looked at any social media or anything like that. There were a few moments where I thought his flow was kind of Drakey. And a song like Running Around, where it's just that classic 90s punk rock teenager song, that kind of just made me mad because it just felt too classic of a style of song. For originality, I did give it a 9. For quality and care, I did give it a 9. Shit. I really just lost all that shit. For quality, I did give it a 9. I do think overall, Childish Gambino is a very, very talented artist. I do think he has a lot of different skill sets. He has a lot of different sounds that he likes to play with. He can rap, he can sing, he can give you some kind of funky dance, he can give you some funky alternative, he can give you whatever he wants. And I think this album does have a lot of everything that he can do. I do just think songs like Running Around, just again, it just doesn't need to be there. I'm sure he was having fun, but I think if you wanted to take this a little bit more seriously, he would have gotten that 10, but a 9 is still not bad. So with a 10, a 4, a 3, a 6, and an 8, that does bring him to an 80, a B minus. I do think this is very, very fair. I don't think this album is anything that is super, super memorable to get anything higher than a B minus, but I do think this album has a lot of good stuff. Again, 17 songs, so there is a lot of different styles. If you look at the way Gambino or Donald has even lived his life, you can see that he just likes to try different shit, from acting to writing to producing to directing to doing whatever. And I think this album is a great example of how he can do anything that he wants, even sound related. For lows though of the album, I do think songs like Steps Beach, I hate for some reason. I have to skip it. I don't like that song. Gotta Be is a little bit just too crazy for me. Real Love low-key is dog. Like that song kind of makes me mad. Real Love is an example of why the quality went down to a 9. Because that song is just not good. Can You Feel Me with Legend? I believe Legend is his child. So shout out to putting the family on, but let's keep the family off the next one, please. But I do think the album has a lot of highs. I think the first song, Hearts Were Meant to Fly, is good. Lithonia. My sweet Lithonia. What? That little bridge at the end where he's really singing, he can sing. In the Night with Georgia Smith. Shout out to Georgia. I told you on the first video, Georgia is a sleeper. I think Georgia just puts the song over the top. I think that song is really good. No Excuses, Cruising, and A Place Where Love Goes are all really good. I think No Excuses is probably the highlight of the album to me. I think the production on that second half is crazy. And even A Place Where Love Goes, the production on that is actually super, super fun. So again, overall, an 80% B minus. I think this is a very fair grade. When you have so many things that you like to do, when you have so many styles, and when you have so many just skills, obviously sometimes certain ones will be lacking. You can still do them, but they might not be as strong as others. And I think this album is a great representation of artistic sounds that he can work with, and somewhere he can really thrive. And it just has somewhere he can do it, but he just doesn't need to. But overall, shout out to Donald, shout out to Childish, shout out to Troy, shout out to Earn. This is a fun album. Donald Glover is a fun guy. If you've never watched Atlanta, go watch it. If you've never watched Swarm, go watch it. He can do it all. He can sing, he can rap, he can act, he can direct, he can write, he can produce. And give this album a listen. If you're unfamiliar with his game, go get familiar. Troy and Abed in the morning. Peace.